Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Star Trek Legends. Today we're going to talk a lot about buffs, debuffs, traits, officer abilities, because so much of the game revolves around that away mission combat. And so often these officers have so many different abilities that you might be firing them off left and right, but not really sure what exactly they're doing. You just see things happening on the screen. And I came across this myself when I started playing this game. For instance, morale. I didn't know what it was doing. I saw it firing off, and I saw myself putting morale on the opponents and putting morale on myself, but I didn't really understand what it was doing. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And I want to give credit to the Discord user Hater, which is Haytur, in the official Legends Discord, along with all the other players in the Discord that have compiled this information we're going to be using to go over in this video. They've also created a wiki, which I'm going to post a link to as well. It's really helpful. It's just beginning. Be patient with the creator and the supporters of that wiki, and they are adding more and more information to that every day. So the first thing we're going to take a look at are traits. And traits are something that is hardwired into the character. I don't believe these are ever going to change. They are not like primary stats that are increased based on gear, based on particles, and based on leveling up. These are things that are just the way it is. So we have crit damage, crit chance, glancing damage, glancing chance, and resolve. Resolve has to do with whether or not you are going to be impacted by opponents' morale debuff. So the higher the resolve you have, the more resistance you are to a morale down. Critical chance and critical damage, those are pretty common across a lot of games. That's just the ability to do extra damage in an attack. And then glancing damage and glancing chance, that one's a little bit gray. I read everyone's description of glancing, and it seems like we're still a little bit in the dark of glancing damage. So I actually did a Google search on glancing in gaming, and that seems to be the mitigation factor. How much damage can you mitigate off? So there's those secondary stats. Then we have, of course, the skills. And we're going to talk a lot about the skills in this video, along with terms such as, let's see if there's anything, taunt, cover, attack up, morale down, or negative morale, I should say, skill locks, things like that. Anything that's in blue in your skill description, we're going to talk about how that's really impacting your overall battle. So the best way to do this is just to get right into it. So I'm going to go into my mission here, and we're just going to start fighting, and I'll explain what I'm doing and what is going on. And the team I'm using is Riker, Worf, Geordi, and Bones. This team has been incredibly effective. I cannot talk about how great this team is. They all work in unison and with each other. I'm a little bit on the fence with Worf. I don't like his taunt. I like Odo's taunt definitely more because you have that defense up with a taunt. And Worf just taunts. So, it's okay. It's not my favorite. So here, the first thing you're going to see are those artificial constructs. You see one in front of Geordi. That's a cover. That's an artificial cover. It's part of the terrain. Geordi's second ability right here, he can actually create a cover and attack up to one ally. So we're going to go ahead and... I don't know why it's choosing Bones. Let's see. So it's not letting me put a cover on anyone, so I'm just going to go ahead and attack with his main weapon, which is Deals 100% tech damage and a 10% chance to tech down for 1 turn. So tech is an ability that revolves around technology, such as phasers, shielding. It increases or decreases the effectiveness of that. So we're going to use Jordy's cutting beam on this Klingon here. Actually, I'm going to use it on this Klingon here. And then we have the Triox Hypo Spray from Bones. It's a major attack up for 3 turns, plus 2 morale to 1 ally. So Riker has AoE attack coming up. So we're going to go ahead and put it on Riker. And it's not letting me do anything. There we go. All right, so since none of the Klingons are protected by anything, this should take them out. Okay, pretty simple. Pretty quick battle. I learned not to hold down on the screen. Okay, let's go into another battle. Hopefully this one goes a little bit longer. All right, so same thing. We're going to do a cover. We're going to put it on Worf because he's going to end up taunting. And let's go ahead and do this Triox Hypo Spray on Riker. And so Riker has that covering fire. It deals 250% damage to all enemies. So it took away their covers, but they were protected by that. So here we're going to do a taunt by Worf. So a taunt is the opponent can only attack the taunting character. So this does a taunt for 3 turns and a 50% chance to -1 morale the opponent. So if you do get 3 stacks of negative morale on opponent, they do have a chance of fleeing from combat, which means they just disappear. I found that to be less effective than morale up on your own team. And then we're going to do an enhanced shield here. So it's a major shield for 3 turns and 1 morale for all allies. So this is actually a really good maneuver here, because what that major shield is going to do, it's going to give the entire team an additional health bar. So that's their shield. And then it's going to give everyone a +1 in morale. And what morale is going to do on your own team is, while one of your characters makes a move, there's a chance for another character to do additional shot during that turn. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. And you see all of those stacks, except Worf doesn't have a stack of morale. And since no one is injured, we're not going to do a sickbay emergency, so I'm just going to go ahead and shoot. And Riker did that follow-up there, because he does have those 3 stacks of morale. And that was pretty simple. And that's usually how it goes. It could go a little bit longer with Bones, and he does an additional major defense up ability that would definitely help the shield. The game just totally crashed. So hopefully that's just one of the many bugs. Okay. Hopefully that's going to work out in the video. So the last thing I want to do is talk about crew. So we did already talk about the secondary stats. Now, there are so many different terminology in their skills. So I'm going to go over to the wiki, and I'm just going to go ahead and read off some of the abilities so that everyone does have a better understanding. All right, so Romulans can cloak, and that it states here that all incoming damage will become glancing blows. A scan. Let's see where it says scan. Scan. When you do a scan on an opponent, it cannot cloak, and glancing chance is 0%. Next attack is a guaranteed critical attack. Assimilation. Upon receiving 3 stacks of this debuff, the character will lose 50% of their health. That's really important to remember when you're fighting Borg, is you really do not want to take on those stacks of assimilation. Wounding. So if you wound someone, like Worf can wound with his Batleth, they lose a percentage of current health each turn. Just going through the rest of this here. So there's a lot more information in the wiki. I don't want to go over it word for word, but the author does go through the morale system pretty extensively, and it's definitely worth a quick read to check that out. So the thing I'm just going to go through here is what these abilities mean. So the phaser rifle, it's a dealing 125% damage, 50% chance to attack down for 1 turn. So when you're targeting an opponent, you're going to be lowering their attack for the next turn, as well as taking that damage. His AoE covering fire, 250% damage to all enemies, but that's influenced by Bones' ability. He can do a taunt and then create a cover and an attack up on himself for 3 turns. That's really effective. And then Bluff is a skill lock. So a skill lock is basically blocking the other abilities of the opponent. So all they can do is their basic attack. And attack down for 1 enemy for 3 turns. -1 morale. For Worf, we have the Batleth Strike, 125% damage, and a 50% chance to wound. His battle cry is his taunt, has a chance to do a -1 morale to all enemies. Batleth Poise, that's a counter and a major attack up on self for 3 turns. So this is kind of a combination I like to do. I like to do his taunt while he has a cover shield first, and then I like to do the counter so that they're going to have to attack him, and every time they attack him, he immediately follows up with a heavy attack. And then the Klingon Fury, he does 400% damage, 600% damage if wounded, plus 1 morale if enemy is defeated. Bones has his phaser, don't use it all very often. He has a sick bay emergency, he can do a major heal and 50% chance, plus 1 morale to 1 ally. The Triax Hypos Ray is a really good ability. He does that major attack up for 3 turns and 2 morale to 1 ally. So this is what I do on Riker all the time. And then his I'm a Doctor. This is followed up by Geordi's shield ability. So he does a cleanse on the team. So cleanses them of any debuffs they currently have. Also gives everyone a major defense up and immunity versus wounding to all allies for 3 turns. Bones is a very good character to use. Geordi has his cutting beam. It does tech damage and percentage chance to tech down for 1 turn. He also can create that cover and tech up to an ally. So Geordi has that tech ability. And that tech ability is basically stating any kind of technology he can make more effective. Whether or not it's phasers or shielding, things like that. If he can tech up someone, it's a really good thing. And it's a bad thing for the opponent to tech down you. Then there is the enhanced shielding. It's a major shield for 3 turns and plus 1 morale for all allies. So that's that team morale that you have that you really want to get as soon as possible. And then his disruption pulse. It is a purging of debuffs. Let me actually go back here and see if purge The author states, Purge seemingly removes all buffs on a target. So, cleanse is when you are cleansing your team from debuffs. Purge is when you're purging all of the buffs on the opponent. That's a good thing to remember. Tech down, 50% chance -1 morale if enemy is synthetic for 3 turns to all enemies. And of course, you definitely want to level that up. And so that's the team that I currently use. And just to show you one thing here about those secondary abilities, as you can see, Janeway that's not leveled up has those same percentages as Riker, which makes me believe that those are all going to remain the same, and those do not increase with your character, no matter what you do to the character. So hopefully this video has helped you a little bit about those buffs, debuffs, abilities, traits, and other things. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comment section. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button for future Star Trek Legends content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and I will talk with you later.